Hey team, I'm Scott and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be talking about aim training. More specifically, how to get the most out of your time. Because let's be real, you train to improve at the games you love, so it shouldn't feel like a chore. I'm going to cover 4 key topics that will add value to your aim training, and I know if you trust the process, you'll see the results you're looking for. We're going to look at the amount of challenge you need to get better aim, the right way to perform aim training scenarios to improve, how to choose the right scenarios for the game you want to play, and finally, how often you need to train to see improvements. And remember, if you find this video helpful, then like the video. If you have any questions, then leave them in the comments down below and I'll get an answer out to you. And finally, come visit me on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/TronicScott, and see how I put the aim training we're going to do today into practice. Here we have a clip of me playing Kovacs, and I've selected the task of Jumbo 1 wall 6 targets. So targets are relatively large. I'm clicking them at a decent pace, and I'm moving from one target pretty rapidly to the next, and I don't have to focus too hard here. So this is great for a warm-up, but the problem is if I did this, if all I did for my training was this game over and over, you can see I'm comfortable. I'm not outside my comfort zone, so I'm not making as much improvement as I could if I push my comfort zone. You know, much like if I knew I could run 5k, continuing to run 5k over and over again might maybe a little bit fitter if I did it more regularly, but it wouldn't make me any fitter at running a 10k. This is the same game, just an altered version, so it's 1 wall 6 target small, and you can see here for every target I have to aim, make a small adjustment, and then take the shot. I can tell you when I was recording this was an uncomfortable experience. It took a lot of effort. And if I go back to my running analogy I made before, this was me going for my 10k run that I haven't been for in a while, and it was challenging and it felt uncomfortable. I'm getting a lot more out of this precision-wise than I would get if I was just playing Jumbo every day. Also, you can see if I was then to return to medium or jumbo-sized targets, I would find them much easier, and I would be able to click more rapidly and try and set a higher score. So hopefully from that you can see that by increasing the challenge, you're going to get more benefit out of your aim training. A couple of ways you can increase the challenge is by using smaller targets, like shown in the example there. Also by trying new scenarios that you're not used to, or even by playing scenarios with moving targets, so they're just harder to click on. So this is an example of what you'll often see people doing in aim scenarios, like Tile Frenzy or Grid Shot. They're clicking frantically, whipping their mouse around really fast, and rushing to hit the next target. That's fine when your aim is really next level and you're trying to hit a high score, but for the purpose of practice, it's a really bad habit. Aim training is about hitting your shots, so rushing and missing half of them is of no benefit to you. In a real game, targets are shooting back at you and you can't afford to miss. Now let's look at a clip of what you want to do. Go slowly at first and try to get high accuracy. I'd say above 80% is good, and that will show you you're aiming decently for the speed by hitting the vast majority of your shots. When you find you can hit around 90 to 100%, then it's time to increase the speed, which will challenge you further. Again, if you rush too much and your accuracy falls below 80%, dial back your speed until you get good accuracy. Using this method will train you to hit your shots whilst building speed and reaction times in a controlled way, which prevents you from forming bad habits. So the key takeaway here is not to rush. It's okay to increase your speed with time, but remember that if you're not hitting your shots, you're not improving. So going for the above 80% accuracy is a good benchmark to tell if you're in control or not in control of your speed. Now, when it comes to choosing scenarios to train, it's easy to get overwhelmed. There are literally thousands to choose from, and if you consider that you can edit scenarios, there are an infinite amount available. There are a few good ways to choose where to spend your time. Because this video is about getting the most from your aim training, the first option is to consider your weak points. So if you struggle to follow a moving target running across the screen, you might need to work on tracking aim. You can search in Kovacs or Aim Labs for tracking, and there are a ton of options to help you improve. Same goes for click timing. If you're struggling to get your crosshair in the right place, there are a ton of click timing scenarios that will work for you. Another way to choose what scenario to practice is by what your favorite game or the game that you want to get better at is. If you want to improve at Valorant or CSGO, for example, you'd be wasting your time playing a scenario where you're shooting flying targets out of the sky. However, if I was trying to get better at Quake or Splitgate, I need to practice on vertical targets, up high or down low, to be a good representation of what the game is going to be like. Okay, the third and final way to choose what scenario to pick is Google it. I know, lazy, right? But if you're a beginner and just want to follow a routine, then someone's already done the work for you, so why not? Classics like Aimer7 and Voltiek have guides to get you started. Then when you discover what part of your aim needs work, you can personalize your training routine. There are too many scenarios and too many games to go over in a single lifetime, but the key points are this. Work on what weaknesses you want to improve in your aim. Don't waste time on things you're already good at. Secondly, make sure the scenarios are relevant and are actually going to help you aim better in your game of choice. And finally, don't reinvent the wheel. Google and follow a routine for either your weaknesses or for the game of choice, and then personalize it later. When you're trying to get better at anything in life, consistency is key. You can do all the other steps in the process right, but if you aren't consistent, then you're wasting your time. And the whole point of this video is to get the most out of your aim training, so let's avoid that. I think most people who start their aim training journey go too hard. 1000% 2-hour plus training sessions that they can't sustain. So with that in mind, my advice is this. Aim for a reasonable amount of time that you can complete without too much change to your life. Let's say 30 minutes. If you choose 3 key scenarios to work on, play them 10 times each, then before you know it, 30 minutes is up. The temptation after that is to go for longer and harder. But remember, you don't improve on sheer hours. You improve on consistency of training. Everyone's different, but studies show a person who practices a task regularly for shorter amounts of time makes a significant improvement over a person who practices a task irregularly for a long session. After a week or so of manageable 30-minute sessions, you might find you can do an hour, no problem. If so, go for it. The important part is keeping a session length that you can commit to for most days, if not every day. Hey again guys, it's Scott in streamer mode. I just wanted to add a note to that. So one of the ways I keep track of time for my sessions is by not keeping track of time. And what I mean by that is, if like I mentioned picking your scenarios to work on and then just working through them, and then the time sorts itself out. You know, if you think about just completing the task, then you don't have to worry about the time. You complete the task, you're done. So either you pick a few scenarios that you like to do and work through those, 5-10 times. Another thing you can do, depending on the game, is if you make yourself a playlist. So if I scroll down here to Tronic Aim, then you can see I've got a playlist, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tasks. That some of them I play them all 5 times, and some of them are 30 seconds, some of them are 1 minute, and it takes me almost an hour to complete, and that's kind of taking my time, not rushing. So the best way to manage your time is to not think about your time. Just think about, set yourself a reasonable amount of tasks and complete them, and you don't have to worry about it. Alright, there you have it. That's 4 ways to get the most out of your aim training. I know there are probably hundreds more tips I missed, so if you want to share an important one, I'd love to read it in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, then give it a like to help others find it on YouTube. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next stream or video.